Hi, I'm Stuart Ballantyne from the MTG. Being a navigator on passenger cargo ships in the 1960s and 1970s, I was very interested in fine-looking ships, fine-looking women, especially in miniskirts, and the pursuit of efficient power for ships. 100 years earlier, the fastest sailing ship of the time was the 85-meter Cutty Sark, a net zero ship built in my hometown of Dumbarton, Scotland. For those into trivia, Cutty Sark was mentioned by Robbie Burns in his poem Tam O'Shanter, where the heavy drinker Tam on his horse on the way home in the dark was pursued by a young witch with a Cutty Sark. It's a miniskirt. A statue of the young witch has pride of place on the Cutty Sark bowsprit in London. The spectacular ship was built for speed, and while she achieved 17.5 knots with favourable winds, her fastest record of 73 days from Sydney to London only represented 7.5 knots on average, carrying 900 tonnes of wool. But ship design, driven largely by the Scots with coal-fired steam propulsion, started decimation of sailing ships. The last operating commercial sailing ship was the Palmyra, uncompetitive by the 1940s. The fact is that when propulsion of ships continues to be investigated, you will see a variety of ships with rigid sails, flattened or rotational masts, and solar panel sails, which reduce emissions by up to 10% only over a portion of the total voyage. Commercially unrealistic, but they do tick the box for corporate image window dressing, striving towards the hallowed zero emissions that sailing ships already had. Global shipping contributes 3% of global emissions. The activists may scream, but it carries 95% of our global freight. Hello. Activists should be promoting coastal shipping instead of road freight, which generates 20 to 40 times the emissions per ton kilometre, killing and injuring people in the process. The catamaran Touranor Planet Solar was the showcase at the 2010 UN Climate Conference as a shining example of solar power's future. With 537 square meters of solar panels generating 93 kilowatts of power, the best sector in her years of sailing globally was a 2013 transatlantic crossing of 22 days, only at 10 knots, but without any payload at all. After being involved with projects with methanol, ammonia, hydrogen, LNG, and nuclear propulsion for ships, I can tell you, nuclear leads the field with 162 ships already in operation and many more on the drawing board, because no other energy source comes close to on cost per kilowatt or energy density than nuclear. Plus, there are no emissions and you don't have to carry hundreds of tons of fuel and can carry that weight in revenue-generating cargo. How good is that? So with my hand on my heart, and after designing commercial vessels for 47 countries, I can say with total conviction that powering a ship or a country with only wind and solar renewables will not work. Only a fool would make that choice, and there's plenty of them around. That ship has sailed.
Authorised by Art Wilkes, Senior Vice President, MTG.